Hello, John Talley here with Partzilla.com. Today I'm going to show you how to replace the upper ball joint on our 2007 Yamaha Grizzly YFM700. Not that tough to do, just need to get it lifted up, get that front tire out of the way, and then we'll dive into it. But first, let's go over to the tool table, talk about the tools and the parts that we're going to need to pull this off. So let's go. Alright guys, this is going to be a skill level 2, but do not be afraid of it. The tools that you're going to need on the socket side, well, it's a range in between 10 and 17 millimeters. But you want to make note, there's a couple of different styles of 17s that you're going to need to get in these different places. A couple of different extensions, a good 3/8 ratchet, and as always a good torque wrench. On the wrench side, you need a 10, a 12, and a 17 millimeter. A decent hammer, a good punch, pair of needle nose pliers, and definitely a set of circlip pliers. The special tools, well, believe it or not, this is it. It's an 1.5 inch just piece of threaded pipe that we're going to need. Now, if you would, reference our exploded parts diagram. For this particular unit, look under the front suspension wheel. That's going to give you an exact picture of how everything is going to come apart, and more importantly, how it's going to get put back together. So once you've got all your tools and your parts together, we can go over there and I can show you how to do it. So let's go. All right, looking at ours, I know these are in good shape, but what are some of the symptoms, if you will, of one that needs to be replaced? One, visually, you're going to see a tear in this rubber boot right here, because that's going to let dirt and water get into the joint. It's going to wear it out. And what you're going to feel is it'll rock back and forth in this general area right there. Now, if you let it go too long, it's going to wallow out the inside of that ball joint and pop. It's actually going to come out, and that's what you don't want to happen. So when you're doing your pre-ride inspection, lift up your front end, kind of wiggle the front end, make sure there's no play anywhere, because this could be one of the places where things can go wrong. So, first thing we want to do is get our attachment points for the brake line that's actually running through the upper A-arm, because we actually are going to take the A-arm all the way off and take it over to the press to press out the old ball joint and put in the new one. And guess what? When you disconnect this line, it's going to introduce air into the braking system, and that's something we don't want, so this line will need to be bled. So, let's go ahead, disconnect the brake line, route it through the control arm, reconnect it so we don't make a big mess all over the table. All right. Now, with that taken care of, let's go ahead and get this cotter pin out of this castle nut and then remove the castle nut. It's going to be a 17 millimeter. All right, with that castle nut off, let's go ahead and take a punch, see if we can pop that loose. Now, we just need to remove those two pivot bolts at the frame. So we've got a 12 on the bolt side and a 17 on the nut. All right, she's off. Let's head over to the press, see if we can get this thing pushed out. Before we put it in the press, we have to remove this little circlip that's at the base of the ball joint. Next, we're going to put it over in the press, and we're actually going to use a piece of 1.5 inch threaded pipe, and you'll notice it's going to fit right around the outside of that ball joint to act as a receiver to push it through the A-arm. So let's get that over to the press and see if we can get it to go in. There she is. Now we just need to take the new one, press it back in. There it is. Now we can take our circlip and get it back on. Make sure it gets down into those grooves. And let it go. Okay, let's go get it back on the machine. To get it back together, it's just the opposite of what we did to take it apart. I am going to add a little bit of grease to these pivot bolts after I cleaned them up, because they were looking a little bit corroded. The grease I'm using is actually made by Yamaha, and it's called race grease. I love this stuff. Once you put it in place, it really stays in the joint or whatever, the bearing, whatever you're using it on. It's high quality stuff. We're going to snug these down, and then get out the torque wrench, torque them to 32 foot-pounds. Now we can go ahead and put our ball joint through, get out our castle nut. We're going to snug it down, and then we're going to torque it to 18 foot-pounds. Let's get our cotter pin back in place. Now, let's go ahead and reroute and reattach our brake line. Don't lose either one of your crush washers. All right, let's get these two bolts back that hold the line in place. Well, all right, guys, that wraps this one up. Only thing I have left to do now is bleed the brakes, put the tires back on. If you need help bleeding your brakes, why don't you check out one of our videos that shows you how to do that. Well, listen, if you need any parts for your machine, come see us at Partzilla.com and we can get you taken care of. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the section below and I'll do my best to answer them. If you like what you see, why don't you hit that subscribe button? That way you can see what I'm working on next. We just want to say thank you for shopping here with us at Partzilla, and we will see you in the next video. Have a great day.